Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupini avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha Janani Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu Namasri Etirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchisukhasvarupaya Swamini Tapaharine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So we are discussing about the Sita Prajna Lakshana, the characteristics of a person of steady wisdom. So we saw now just like a tortoise, Kurmonganiva Sarvashaha, how it withdraws its limbs from all sides. Whenever there is any sign of danger, कभी कोई किसी को ऐसे कोई विपद का संकेत मिल रहा है, immediately सब अंदर ले लेते हैं. So even if it is beaten to death, then also the limbs will not come out. So in the same way, ऐसे ही कोई अपना इंद्रिय के ऊपर नियंत्रण होना चाहिए. See, just as the tortoise has such complete control, even at the most terrible provocation, can the indriyas be held under control? साधारण क्या होता है, थोड़ा भी कुछ प्रलोभन आ जाते तो immediately we fall a victim. But just why the example of tortoise is given? Because under any circumstances, come what may, its limbs will not come out if it is withdrawn. Because once it spots a danger, never. In the same way, what is all that? All the objects of attraction, जो इतना हम लोग को आकर्षण करते हैं, they are all dangerous. They are not needed. They only lead us in the path to the path of destruction. So can we have that kind of complete control where under any circumstances our senses will not respond to the temptations of the sense objects? वो तो हो गया. Then he says it's not only enough that much. आप तो ऐसे ही विड्रॉ कर लिया, लेकिन मनी मन बहुत सारे वासनाएं हैं. विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जम रसोप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते. How will it go? You can, आपका इंद्रिय के सब आप खाना नहीं देते हैं. When you starve the indriyas, don't allow them. Suppose आप आग बंद करके बैठते हैं, the eyes are not allowed to see anything, ears are not allowed to hear anything. So if all the senses are withdrawn, they are not fed, nirahar, no ahara, you don't give any food to them, you don't entertain, you don't allow, so you don't see such books, such magazines, such movies, such things. इधर आए, similarly ऐसे सुनते रहते हैं, देखते रहते हैं. If all those things are completely avoided, okay, the indriyas are not participating. But in the mind, how do you control the mind? Why it is a question of mind? Because we have all had experiences in this birth, in previous birth, the hundreds of births prior to that. They're all stored. So that rasa, the anubhava of rasa, the previous experience, the taste for them, it is already there in the mind. How will it go? It will go only when it is directed towards something higher. The highest truth is realized when the delight of Brahmagyana or any superior, that kind of an experience when the mind, when the soul tastes, then all other things, even the rasa also disappears completely. I think this in the next sloka together. It says, Yatato api kaunteya purushasya upachitaha indriyani pramatini haranti prasavam manaha. O son of Kunti, indriyani, the pramatini indriyani, the turbulent senses, prasabham mana, they haranti prasabham mana, even the tries to disturb the tranquil mind, the mind of even a discerning person. Yatato purushasya vipaschitah, yatataha purushasya vipaschitah. When the vipaschita purushasya, even the striving person's mind, purushasya, it is being disturbed by the turbulent senses. The turbulent senses try to draw away, disturb even the mind of a discerning person who is into intense sadhana, spiritual. What is the idea? The Puranas, we read about Vishwamitra. What is that? Such a great sadhaka, immersed in meditation, everything. Just one side, saw a very attractive person, Menaka, finished. So, these are all symbolic, there's nothing like, it's not, you don't have to worry about whether it was such a person, really happened, and so on. The whole idea is, anything, even the least of temptation, can totally destruct you. We hear stories, people given up, who have given up job, gone and settled somewhere in the ashram as volunteers, even as monks, for so many years, at the age of 40, 45, 50, one can never be sure that it's all done once and for all, no more, unless one has a higher experience. What happens? Why all this? Because you see, whenever there is an experience, whenever we go through an experience, immediately every experience leaves in the mind step what is called a karma bija, the seed, the desire in the form of a seed. So, when you see an object, not exactly same, even something resembling, maybe perhaps you have tasted a huge बॉल ऑफ रसगुल्ला, बहुत बड़ा एक रसगुल्ला सफ़ेद है, बहुत बड़ा है, गोलाकार है, आप खा लिया था, अभी तो हो गया, लेकिन मन में वो रसगुल्ला का बीज वो छोड़ा गया इन द चित्त. जब जब आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं, आप देख रहे हैं ऐसे बड़ा कुछ सफ़ेद दिख रहा है, ओ अच्छा रसगुल्ला कितना सुंदर था, मैं खा लिया था, मुंह में पानी जाता है, जीवा में, जुबान में. So what is the idea? You see, it's all there, waiting to be again attracted, waiting to be hooked. So once the karma bija, the bija is there, it's waiting to sprout. उससे अंकुर निकलने के लिए वो एकदम तैयार होके बैठ रहता है. So when you actually see the objects of senses or enjoyment, the same or the repetition, the attraction is even more powerful. Not only is it powerful, it will go on hooked onto that. Again, there is an enjoyment. Again, it reads another seed and it becomes even stronger now. So, that's why, once you start, one leads to another, another to another, then, slowly the mind goes down and down and down and down. So, it's not say that, no, I'm just keeping away from all that. I have come to the monastery, I have come to a nirjan place. There's nobody. The mind will conjure up, it will imagine, it will create scenes of enjoyment. Mind will be constantly working on all that. So, unless all these, then how it will go? The contrary samskaras, japa, meditation, prarthana, how will all this go? So when you, just as the samskaras related to enjoyment, when they leave the seat, similarly the good samskara, puja, part, stotra part, meditation, japa, they also leave a seed in the mind. So when you keep on accumulating more and more and more such good samskaras, such good karma bijas, then simply they go on accumulating. And the old samskaras, the karma bija of desire, etc., they get kind of completely buried beneath this huge heap of good samskaras. So much so, that lying finally, slowly, they lose their capacity to sprout. There may be a trace, just a flash of something in the mind, but that will not lead to any action. Normally, The mere karma bija alone is not that it's okay. There may be a signal from inside, but then only when India's actually gone hooked to the objects, the senses, the bhoga enjoyment takes place, and again a fresh karma bija is deposited. But a person of discrimination, no, through prayer, through meditation, through japa, through singing the glories of the Lord, etc., or even in Niti Niti Advaitic meditation or Vichara, Viveka, when the what is there inside, from that a signal comes. Even if that is cut off at that level, there might have been a just a flash in the mind that will not lead to further depositing of karma bijas in the mind stuff or chitta. There won't be, there won't be any further enjoyment or any such thing there. So like that, slowly, when you also keep on, accumulating more good samskaras, etc., etc., they bury the old one or the disturbing one, and finally there's only a huge accumulation of good samskaras. They again and again they rub and rub and rub the old samskara and make it totally inactive. And at one time it becomes dead, like like a seed. If it is, if it loses that power to sprout, it is there as a seed, but it's no longer capable of producing another plant. In the same way, what is there in the mind stuff also, if it's completely, दबा के उसके ऐसे कर देते हैं, then it becomes totally, sterile, and it has no capacity to sprout again. Then it becomes completely, then only you can say that you have conquered the senses. Otherwise, yatato api kaunteya, you may be a sadhaka. It has happened in the case of so many sadhakas. We hear again such stories. Our person was so good, was a good sadhaka, was for so many years in the monastery, or even a good place, it's just that. Then suddenly they. So not only those, even in the household, it happens again and again, again and again. And there is no end to the desire for enjoyment, even at more and more the age of 45, 50, 55, 60. Still people indulge in various kinds of bhoga, even if they are sadhakas. Why? Because the senses are प्रमाथीनी, they are turbulent. ऐसी उनका क्षमता है साधक को भी किसके लिए आने के लिए. So one has to be careful, and then only the only if a person is very steady, that's why he says tani sarvani samyamya yukta asisa matparaha vashe hi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. Tani sarvani samyamya, having controlled all of them. Yukta asita matparaha, one should be entirely devoted to me, thinking me as the ultimate. I am the para. Vashehi yashendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. He whose senses are under control, tasya prajna, his wisdom is firmly set. So ultimately, it's only really the control of the senses. They alone lead us astray. They alone lead us in different directions. They keep on making us indulge in again and again. So, first, what is the first phase, or what is to be done? Tani sarvani samyamya. First, control all of them. When it goes, no. Give a hammer blow, nothing doing. Don't go here and there. I'm not going to give you any license. I'm not going to permit you to enjoy. So, with like that, kurmongani sarvasaha, or whatever it is, when you practice all that, and then, you see, the Lord talks about the negative and the positive. The negative, control them. Don't allow them to go. Don't allow them to go and hook on to the sense objects. Even if you had past experience, even if there is a karma bija, even there is a sense, signal coming from inside, go and enjoy. No, nothing doing. It's a strong mind. Turn away all that. Turn the senses away from sense objects. Then there is a samyama. You are controlling, but that's not enough. Yukta asita matparaha. Where will the mind go? It has to rest somewhere. The mind is like a supercomputer. It won't just remain idle if you don't allow them to go to the senses and enjoy. Senses and the sense objects. Senses are not allowed to access the sense objects. What will they do? They will seek something else. So if they are hooked onto the Lord, if the Bhagavan or any idea, if the highest matparaha, then yukta asita matpara. Instead of getting attached to the sense objects, all that they got attached to the Lord. In the Gita Bhagavan somewhere he will say, Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kateyantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Charamanticha. It's their delight, it's their happiness. Matchitta, they're always thinking about me. Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam. Not only that, they keep on telling their friends and others how it's very important, how it can be all done. And then once it happens, then the mind, it has got a positive engagement. Not only is it stay away from the negative influences or doesn't allow the mind to go astray, it's also been given a positive direction. It goes and latches onto the Lord, takes shelter at his feet, it's singing his glory, doing this thing, practices, intense practice, doing 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 japa like that every day, in various ways, giving a positive engagement to the mind. Then what has happened? Vasehi Yashendriyani Tasya. Because now the India are under Vasa's control. Why? Because he is not allowing them. Whenever any signal comes from inside, immediately he cuts it off. No, you can't access, you can't go there. It's a forbidden ground. Then Tasya prajna pratisthita. His senses are controlled. His wisdom is firmly set. So ultimately, these are the qualities. First of all, says should not run after, should be lead a life of restraint. It's not the life of bhoga. When you do all that, then such a mind is in a wonderful state that way. And then now he says, how does it all happen? What is the how does it really fall? Not only that, it's step by step. One step, next step, next step, next step, next step, until the person is totally destroyed. It keeps on like that. That's why in Vivek Chudamani, Shankara Bhagavad Pada uses a beautiful example. Krida Kandukavat, just as a ball which is coming down a flight of stairs. मान लीजिए आप कोई बॉल के कोई कोई स्टेप में छोड़ देते हैं, गिर जाता है, वो क्या वहाँ रहेगा? फिर नीचे, फिर नीचे, फिर नीचे, फिर नीचे, जब तक जमीन तक नहीं गिरता है तब तक वो गिरता रहता है. It keeps on falling till it comes to the ground level. Similarly, the mind also, unless it's controlled, slowly it will come to call fall down, 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 and ultimately it will reach the rock bottom. So, what is the process it started? Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Upajayate. So, if you dwells longingly on sense objects, an inclination or attachment, sangha, grows towards them. See, sense objects, when you think of them, not that they are there right in front of you. You've had an experience in the past. You have had something, you have done something. Then in the mind, you keep thinking about them. They are not physically there, you just remember them. They dwell longingly. Oh, कितना अच्छा था, वैसे किया मैंने, वैसे किया, कितना भोग किया. Then when you keep on thinking like that, then the attachment or the desire to get them gets intensified. It becomes very strong. Then Sangha Sanjayate Kama. From that attachment, is it develops into desire. First, there's an upsurge of emotion within. Because the mind is thinking, oh, I had this, I went to that restaurant, I went to that ashrama, I went to that devotee's house. Oh, so many items, how they fed me, how I enjoyed. And then, the mouth waters. Then desire, oh, I am coming to your house today. That day you made all that, will you feed me again? बेचारा क्या करेगा? आ जाइए स्वामी जी, खिलाऊंगा. हाँ, कैसे ना करो. But that memory, from that memory, the mind starts thinking about it. Then what happens when such a thing comes? Attachment. खाने के प्रति, डिवोटीज के प्रति, जो खिलाया उनके प्रति, सो जिस गाड़ी में गए उसके प्रति, कहाँ बिठाएगा उस जगह के प्रति. So once then it like a chain reaction, one after the one after. Sangas is sangas. Attachment grows in all directions, not only just the object. Everything connected with that becomes desirable, object of desire. Then from that, sangas sanjayate kama. From that attachment, which is terrible, the desire goes. The desire to get it again, to enjoy it again, to taste it again. The terrible urge that comes. Then kamat krodho bijayate. From that desire, the next step is krodha. Why? If it is not fulfilled. If you are fulfilled, then the cycle is complete there itself. Again, a karma bija is deposited. Again, the whole process starts. Dhyayato vishyan pumsaya. Again, it will start from the step one. But then, kamat krodho vijayate. What's the reason for krodha or anger in most cases? It's because they are not getting something. ये मिलना था, मैं चाहता था, लेकिन नहीं मिल रहा है, इसीलिए क्रोध है. So desire थे काम थे क्रोध, इसलिए they always say kama krodha, kama and krodha, they always go together. The desire always that brings about krodha, anger, either because it's not fulfilled or there's a tremendous sense of insecurity, fear, what will happen, मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा, नहीं तो नहीं भी मिल सकता है. So already a disappointment, जिन जिन की वजह से नहीं मिला उन सबको प्रति दुश्मनी, all that will start. Once you allow the mind to be like that, and then slowly all these things will start in the mind. Desire, stay. Krodha, then krodhat bhavati sammohaha. From anger, there is delusion. Completely you are, deluded. क्या है, क्या देख रहे हैं, क्या बोल रहे हैं, कुछ भी पता नहीं है. क्योंकि गुस्सा में जो भी मन में आता है बताते हैं. बाद में अरे ऐसा बोला मैंने, सोचा भी नहीं है, लेकिन जिस स्थिति में आप थे बोलने वाला थे. क्योंकि because that leads to delusion. Because why delusion? In anger, you don't see the reality. You see false things. You are deluded. जिसकी जो गुण बिल्कुल नहीं है, जो क्वालिटीज नहीं है, वही लेके दूसरे लोग की गाली देते हैं जब कुछ करते हैं. You may not be all that, but you put all that. You are a thief, you are a liar, you are this, you are that, and so on. In so many ways, you react. Kamat krodho vijayate. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. Moha, delusion. Sammoha smriti vibhrama. What happens in delusion? You forget. Forget that such a person did not have all these qualities. It loses, when there is a loss of memory, then destruction of the discriminative intelligence. जो नित्य अनित्य के बारे में जो समझ सके, जो किसके प्रति जाना ठीक है, किस दिशा में आगे बढ़ाना ठीक का नहीं है, whether these desires are they worth having, should we go after them, what harm will they bring, is it okay, can we really. So all that if you do, vichara, immediately the desire will go, because now it will be very clear, no time it can be proved that these are all destructive, not worth, simply we are wasting our time, energy, purpose of life, everything will become clear. Lekin that, in what happens in delusion, you lose your memory. जिस गुण नहीं था वो भी इमेजिन कर लेते हैं, उनके अच्छा सब जिसका था सब भूल जाते हैं in the krodha. And then when the memory is lost, then the capacity to discriminate, the destruction of the discriminate intelligence happens. Samoha srimshat buddhi nasho. From when loss of memory, this is buddhi nasha. What is this buddhi? Discriminative intelligence. The capacity to distinguish between the right and the wrong. So, actually it becomes, it reduces human beings to a state of animality. Or like, what you would say, they are like animals, the way they behave. Then there is buddhinasha. There is Smriti Brahmshat Buddhinashu Buddhinashat Kashyati. ऐसे क्रीड़ा कंदुकवत जैसे बोला, Loss of discriminative intelligence spells ruin. And is totally destroyed. Nothing is left. Because no, everything, all controls are gone. You get angry like anything विदाउट रीजन, बिना कारण, बिना कोई सोच समझ के ऐसे ऐसे भाषा प्रयोग करते हैं। क्यों? आप भूल ही गए, आप एक ऐसे व्यक्ति है, आपके से बोलना ठीक नहीं है, नॉट मीन दैट इसके बारे में बोल रहे हैं क्या? ऐसे कोई भी कुछ भी नहीं है उसका, लेकिन बोल रहा हूँ एवरीथिंग इज फॉरगॉटन, स्मृति विभ्रष्टात्। See, the discriminative intelligence is gone, and buddhi nashat prashyati. A person is totally destroyed. Huh? Is it not enough if there is, you can leave it at buddhinasha? No. These are all only one aspect of life. The person is totally destroyed and shattered. So, what is the way? Ragat veshaviktesu vishyan indriyesharan atmavashir vidheyatma prasadam adhigachati. What is the, how do you finally get that complete peace? We talked about all that, the loss of intelligence, etc. How to avoid all that? How to steer clear of all that? How to reach the highest goal of life? And it says, Ragat Vesha Viyuktaistu. See, for the person, by Vidheyatma, one with a disciplined mind, Atma say a Vidheyatma. So, in his Ragadvesha Viyuktas, a mind which is free from Raga and Vesha, attachment and aversion. The opposite, no? Gita always talks about it. It's not enough you are free from attachment. You should be free from aversion also. Hatred to something also comes because of wrong understanding in the mind. That means the indriyas are involved. Because whether you like or dislike in both ways, the indriyas, the mind, etc., they are totally involved. Then only there will be, that kind of a negative function. But if the mind which is free, vidhyatma, for a person, there is neither raga nor dvesha, is free from both. Vishayan indriya, not only that, he is amidst the senses. Say, Swami Vivekananda did not set up all the monasteries in the deepest of the jungles or in the Himalayas or anywhere. Is it? They will all be in the city, in places where people live. He said, my monks would dive deep into meditation this moment, and the very next moment go and sell the produce in the market. That kind of a mind control Swamiji wanted. So, it's not that I run away, go to a place where there is not even what you call, not an ant is there, or a mosquito is there, completely free from. Where is the question of, you have no chance. Even if you think of anything else, there is no scope. But if you are free from the raga, dvesha, then vishayan indriyesharan. See, even in a person where, even if it is moving under the objects of the senses, charan means it actually is moving, approaching, is all there, vishayan indriyesharan, and then atmavashir, a person who is uh, he has attained, atmavashir. Viktestu Vishyan. The person, and it's all Atma Vashya. His Indriyas are all under his Atma, his own control. Vidhe Atma, Prasadam Adhigachati. He attains tranquility. Person of disciplined mind, where the Vidhe Atma is Atma Vashya, his Indriyas or senses are under his control, and his Ragadvesha Viktestu. He has neither raga nor dvesha. He is free from that. Although he moves amongst the objects of senses, Vishayan Indriyesharan, Prasadham Adhigachati, he attains tranquility. Because that's why Gita is so relevant for the modern mind. People work in offices and this and that, where people of opposite sex, they work in close proximity to each other. They have to come in contact constantly. But with the reserved mind, if the indriyas are not under control, How can you work peacefully in such an atmosphere? So not only there are so many, ever so many kinds of attractions always there. In the senses are all displaying their full powers, their complete ability to delude you, their complete powers of attraction. But if you're a person who has neither raga nor dvesha, neither attachment nor aversion, and you atmavasya, his indriyas are under control, is videya atma, one with a disciplined mind, even if he moves about the indriyas, still, is absolutely such a controlled mind. Prasadhamadikachati, he attains complete peace. They say there's a great Swami of order, Swami uh, Dayanandaji, was a disciple of the Holy Mother. There were two brothers, Madhavanji and Dayananji. They were brothers, both Holy Mother's disciples. And this person, he went to America first. He saw how the mother and child are being taken care of, the service that is done to pregnant women. Those times, बहुत मान लोग गुजर जाते थे. Many mothers would die in those days, because there were not much of facilities. And he started this huge maternity hospital, Seva Pratishthan, a 550 bed general hospital today. It started as a maternity hospital. We were shocked. Ramakrishna Mission, monks starting maternity hospital. But it was very mild and sweet nature Swami. But he said, no, it has to be done because it's a great service that is necessary. And the trustees allowed him to start. It seems I have heard he would go to the labor room. There will be nurses, there will be patients, someone giving birth, but nobody would ever feel in his presence that a male member was present there. He was such an embodiment of purity. He had absolute such control over his mind. So he would go because he was he wanted to ensure that everything is done very properly. It's a new hospital that is being set up. Those time, those nurses who served lifelong operation used to relate later on how you would walk into labor rooms and nobody will feel disturbed or this or that. And then he will come out because his senses were completely under control. Can there be a more, more testing or disturbing atmosphere, particularly for a monk? Maybe male doctors also go where they are specialists in this. They are what do you call that? No, the gynecologists, male gynecologists. They may also go, but then here's a person who's a monk was totally away from all that. Still, his senses were so much under control, and nobody would. That is, that's that kind of person. So always calm and peaceful. He retired even when he was there when he was at the peak of his powers. He handed over charge to somebody else, and he just stayed in the same in a small room all his life in the same hospital. He did not come to Belmad, he did not go to Benares, he did not want any Ganga that or anything. Simply वही हॉस्पिटल में वो रेस्ट किए थे, वहाँ से उनका अंत में देहांत भी हुआ था. So, the new person has taken control. He was also a very wonderful Swami, person of great capacities, a wonderful, tranquil mind, etc. But, Shiva Prashant is situated just amidst the slums of Calcutta, you can say. Tremendous disturbance all the time. Night time, just close by, behind the monks' quarters, it's a huge slum. Day and night there will be fights. The males beating the husbands beating their wives and violence and shouting and crying and so on. The शराब पी के आते थे, खत्म, रात भर चलता था. So the new Swami were taken control, taken charge, was feeling so disturbed he could not sleep. Then he went and told Dayanandaji, Maharaj, I am not able to sleep. Night there is so much of disturbance. Why? I stayed in the same room for so many years. I never felt disturbance even a single night. Why do you allow your ear to hear all those things? The Swami was amazed. I lived in that very room for 2 decades or 3 decades, whatever is the period mentioned. I never felt disturbed. Why do you allow your mind to go that side? Bas. The new Swami got a great lesson. He also lived a great life. He rendered extraordinary service at that institution. But there is how the baptism by fire, dekha de na, uh, Agni Pariksha, like that. He simply went, but he could not. But in no time he adjusted. This is how it is, how one should live. Not allow. See, if the mind is not allowed to go there, if you have control your mind, around you so many things might be happening. What is that to you? You are not bothered. You are not affected. So that is what it says. You see, prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi asya upajayate prasanna chetaso hyasu buddhi paryavatishtate. You see, prasade sarva dukkhanam hani. On attaining tranquility, all sorrows comes to an end, because तस्य उपजायते प्रसन्न चेतसः ही आशु बुद्धि ही पर्यवतिष्ठते. You know, for the prasanna chetasa, for a person of tranquility, buddhi, intellect, also quickly paryavatishtate, remains steady. Because the intellect of such a person becomes completely steady, because he has attained tranquility. Because with the mind there is neither raga nor dvesha. It's always quiet. Even if it moves amongst the objects or the senses, very attractive, alluring, the mind is completely under control. And such a mind, it is vidhayatma. It's completely, it attains prasada, tranquility. And once prasada is attained, all the sarva dukkhanam hanihi, all the sorrows are destroyed. That's our biggest problem. We become affected. We become so sad, we become sorrowful, because we have not got that, we have lost that, we have lost this has happened, this has happened. All that is completely quelled once you attain that kind of tranquility, because soon the mind of a person, buddhihi ashu, buddhihi, quickly, for the prasanna chesasa, for a person of tranquility, his buddhi paryavatishtate, it remains steady. It's not, going here and there. Because ultimately it's the discriminative faculty, the mind. Beyond that is the buddhi. The buddhi has to decide whether all the participation is necessary. See, the indriyas go out, so all the dwaras, and then they go and hook onto the sense objects, bring the impression to the mind. The mind is trying to find out is this way or that way, and then refers it to the buddhi. And the buddhi finally decides, yes, this experience is necessary, then will it happens. So now even if the mind brings any this thing, the buddhi acts as a filter, and at that point it completely cuts off. No, it's not necessary, because the buddhi has become tranquil, paryavatishthate. So it's not allowing the mind to go here and there. Even if the sense objects are busy trying to trying to bring experiences, trying to tempt the mind, then simply the buddhi, because it is steady, it does not accept any of those suggestions. Then it all have to go back. Then it says, what happens if the all that, because beyond all that is the control of the senses. If a person has no control, what happens? Nasti buddhi ayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana. Ayuktasya na asti buddhi has no, you know, he has he has no spiritual comprehension. It does not exist for such a person. For the person of uncontrolled mind, uncontrolled mind has no spiritual comprehension. He cannot, get a taste of the higher things. Because the mind is not under control, the senses are not under control, then it goes on, keeps on participating here and there. So such a mind can have no tranquility. If there's no tranquility, how such a mind can comprehend spiritual things? Obviously, it's not possible. Nacha yuktasya bhavana. It has no capacity. And then it is not only that, it's such a mind has no capacity for meditation either. Then, if there is no meditation, for the unmeditative, nacha bhavayata shantihi, bhavayata, for the unmeditative, shantihi, na, there is no peace. Then, ashantasya kutastu. If there is no shanti for the mind which has no peace, how can there be shanti for such a mind? It's not possible. So it reduces human beings to the level of animality. Because no, first of all, the senses have to be under control. When senses are under control, there is no raga, dvesha. The mind is, even if it moves amongst the objective senses, still it is completely a tranquil mind, and then such a mind attains peace. And if there is peace, then all the dukkha, etc., are gone, and the mind is completely eh, steady. But if the senses are not under control, such a mind cannot comprehend anything spiritual. It has no idea of the higher dimension of life. Then it says it's not enough. Uh, it's not enough even if you control the senses. It has to param drishtva nivartate. Only when it thinks of the highest, Tani sarvani samyam yukta asita mat paraha. Unless it comprehends something higher, something spiritual, such a mind, what would it do? It will be restless. It cannot meditate. If there's no meditation, there is no peace. And if there's no peace, how, obviously, where is happiness? How it can get rid of the dukkha, etc. That's not possible at all. Such a mind is always disturbed. So, control of the senses is extremely important. Then, indriyanam hi charatam enmano anuvidhiyate tadasya harti prajnam vayud nav ivambasi. Indriyanam hi charatam enmano anuvidhiyate. See, moving amidst the senses, the mind which follows that direction, such a mind, it has no, the senses are naturally disposed to move towards their objects. Indriyanam hi charata yan mano anudhiyate. So it follows naturally. Tadasya harati prajnam, whichever of these senses the mind pursues, that sense carries away that mind as a gale does a ship on the high sea. So, it becomes completely an uncontrollable mind. There's no capacity. It cannot be stopped at all. Simply that is, it's what, then, he says, Sanchalam hi manakrishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayorva suskram yasna. The mind is being simply carried away, just as the wind carries everything, and my mind is being simply taken away like that. So here also again he says, in Indriyanam hi charatam yan manu anuvidhyate. Mind is naturally disposed to move toward the sense objects. Such a mind, whichever of these senses the mind pursues, tadasya harati prajnam vayud nami vambasi. That sense carries that mind, as a gale does a ship on the high seas. The ship may be quite big, but when there's a terrible gale, it simply goes uncontrollably. Of course, we can continue this discussion next week. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Wow, okay,